Previously on building Benny's movie park. A bunch of these pieces can be replaced. For example, this part right here. Look, and then now we can simply go over the whole thing. This is the exact same thing, dude. As you can tell, that is pretty much exactly the right angle, which is depressing because I took a long time building that arch. This, however, does look objectively better. And gentlemen, welcome back to this brand new episode of building Benny's movie park in Planet Coaster 2. Today, praise the Lord, we're finally going to finish the pirate area. Overall, you could say it looks decently finished, but trust me, it really isn't. Most of all, interior still needs to be done. That goes for the big buildings, but also the station building, of course. I mean, this is just not quite it. I want some more signs, some small details. This still has to be filled up with a bunch of nature, I think. And back here can also still really use some work. So without any further ado, let's get straight to it. First, there's something I'd like to show you because off screen I did some work on the entrance for the coaster. As you can tell, upon request of you guys, it's now called Cannonball, which makes a lot of sense. I made sure this entrance is also broken through by a cannonball. And the reason it makes sense is because there's a few places where it kind of smashes through buildings. So it's definitely a nice fitting theme. It goes through a bunch of walls. It spins around as well. It matches basically everything. So I thought... let's just do that. And so, yeah. I also put this giant pre-made ship here because it's kind of a waste not to use it somewhere at least. And I think that is most of what I did off screen. So now let's get to the fun parts. Starting at the beginning, I don't think this part has interior. It does not. Neither does... none of this has interior. Definitely needs some work. Okay, let's have a look. First, we need to pop in all the wooden structures, the wooden stuff. I know this isn't anything new or crazy or special, but it's the base thing we definitely need. And the same thing, except diagonal ones on the roof. The side of the stairs, I think, would look a lot better if it's closed up with the walls, just like this. I'll just connect it on the end here. I will get rid of the original fences so I can replace them with my own ones. And then look, just like we've done before, popping in some of these little poles. Also, while I do this, story time. Today, I am very, very triggered. I don't think you can tell, but I had to really get myself in the mood for this because, oh my god. This morning, I was trying to connect a remote to my garage door. I recently bought an ATV and I usually put that in my garage, so it'd be nice if I can open that from a distance with a remote. So I tried connecting it, but somehow in the software of the whole system, something went wrong, and now it doesn't do anything anymore. It can't go up, it can't go down, it can do absolutely nothing. I've spent an hour trying to fix it and nothing worked. It didn't respond the way it was supposed to respond according to the manual and everything. So I genuinely wanted to scream. My whole day felt ruined, but here we are right now building fences. If something doesn't work the way it should, I can absolutely lose my mind, especially when there's just no good reason for it. It just makes no sense. But yes, I was very, very triggered. And anyway, just finishing this up and we should be good to go. And a few smaller diagonal ones for some proper support. Always looks banging. There you go. Honestly, in general, I think we can't really have too much wood in here as usual, as this entire area, really. It just looks really nice. And how about on this, we can pop some planks, making this like a platform we can put some stuff on. Although you won't really see that from below. However, it's cool that we know it's up here. So let's just put some cog wheels on here maybe. And some of these sandbags, absolutely lovely. And like a barrel maybe. There you go, that's nice. Then maybe some nets, because those we also have. Maybe just in between that, or maybe on the walls instead. Quite like this, actually. The curved ones we also need a few of. Here you go, just against the wall. Lots and lots of piratey decoration. And you know what? Even some of these lanterns, because I feel like it needs some light in here. It is very, very freaking dark. Just like this. A few lanterns hanging over your head as you pass the cube. Then with the torch off, you can see it's pretty dark up here. What we can try is using maybe some spotlights to add some ambient light. And that's what the wooden frame comes in handy for. Let's make this maybe a sea kind of blue color. Here you go. That definitely looks cool. Yeah. And then let's add a second one over here. We can make that a different color, maybe yellowish or very reddish perchance. Here you go. I think that actually looks pretty sweet. Yes. It's very dark here though. Let's add a final land. Oh yes. Perfect. So that I think is then pretty much decent for the interior. This already took too long. I'm not gonna lie. This is such a small part of this whole video. But at least it looks good now. So that means we can move on to... Is this nice? What I think we should probably do to make sure people don't go back in here is add some barrier signs just on either side. Very good. And in general, this is not very symmetrical. Let's fix it. That's definitely better than on the other side. Maybe a bit of a clear exit sign. I suppose we can just put like a pole here and then we'll just go and use an actual sign piece here. Pop that on and then have that say exit. So just put that right on the side here. Nice. Okay, so that's then pretty much the train station. I think the exit is fine. It's just a stairway down, so that's nothing too crazy. Next on the list is another part of interior, and that is the entire restaurant. Of course, this room is pretty nice looking. In fact, it is simple, but it will do, I think. Besides the supports for the coaster maybe, but this seems nice. Maybe over here a window or two could be cool, but apart from that, I really don't think we should add too much to it. Maybe even on this wall, and then we'll do both sides. Good. As if this is kind of like an indoor little section. Then this hole can use some work too. Actually, this looks fine as well. If we go through this arch, however, yeah, this is all very much nothing. In general, what even is this supposed to become? First, let's add a nicer floor because I'm pretty sure that's not gonna work with the path otherwise. Actually, wait, I think I may just have an idea. However, not before popping in some more wooden structure. Look, what if over here, for example, we pop in some wall shelves? Probably need some wood to hold it in place, but then that should be fine. We make sure this is present on all sides of this building. Maybe this is a bit too... No, that works actually. Just have to kind of get rid of these ugly bits. And then on this, we can possibly add a lot of barrels. I know what you might think. More barrels? Yes. Because this time around, we can put them on their sides, as if this is like one of those storage spaces where they just keep all this stuff. I remember the Pirate Dark Ride in Europa Park has something like this. Pretty sure that's also in the queue, so just have to spin some of them around for some variety. I think that's really cool, actually, especially with some lights, maybe. I will do the exact same thing a bit higher up, all the way over here. Once again, this needs some modifying, but I think that's fine. And on top of all these, we can add junk and a whole lot of barrels, of course, some of which can be held up by a bunch of planks. Once again, spinning some of these around a little bit. And I'm even going to add some variety in color, because otherwise it feels a bit too perfect, if you know what I mean. Here you go. Much nicer. As usual, we also want to have a bunch of these pots for decoration, because that simply looks really nice. And also, I don't know, maybe some benches. Really, whatever we can use to fill this up, make it look alive. Maybe even an entire piece of a pirate ship, just here leaning against the wall, could be pretty sick. The colors of this should be just neutral, brown, very old. There you go. Is that nice? That is very nice. Some more crates. I must have done this 1,000 times by now. Just putting down some junk. Now, once we turn off the flashlight, we can tell it is pretty dark. So let's go ahead and have a look at all the lanterns. We need something nice and piratey. This one, although it's not very bright. Why don't we instead grab this one and pop it on these little wooden supports? I think that's actually a pretty sweet idea. Let's try it out. Okay, definitely a good start. Let's do the same exact thing a little bit higher up here. Apologies for all this because it's very hard to do in small spaces. Anyway, over here, let's do the same lanterns. Very nice. Are you gonna bump your head into that? Yeah, possibly. Let's not do that. Instead, let's put it over there. Perfect. Then I'm thinking just a few spotlights at the very top. Let's have a look. For example, maybe in the corner here. Once again, let's go with the blue light because I kind of like that for contrast. Oh, that is actually really cool. Yeah. Okay. well, it's nothing too crazy, but it's really quite effective for what it is. So, yeah, good. And you get out over here, which is a pretty basic little corridor, but I guess it works. This whole area is very, very plain. Shall we go and fix this real quick? Let's get to it. I've changed my mind about all of these stalls. It's not gonna happen. Let's just get rid of all of this. Here you go. Because this will in fact simply be some nature. I've been stuffing this area full of buildings, and I think it's nice to occasionally have some bits that are simply just greenery. Besides, as you know, I really, really love doing nature, so we definitely need more of it. Besides, over here we can make it look like the ship kind of crashed into these rocks, maybe? Here you go. Something like that. Very cool. And then maybe a slightly bigger one towards the back. I'm going to add some sand in between the gaps. Some rocky textures on it as well. Very subtle. Maybe slightly brownish. Here you go. Because of course I also want some plants, and those don't grow on a rock. Apparently that one does. You get what I mean though. Let's smack some of these on the little hills I just made. And then maybe a tree or two. In general, inside the ship we could possibly also put some plants. Here you go. Just in between these. Ooh. And the only question is there even room for trees? Because these are pretty big, as you know. I can already tell that's gonna slam straight into the track. Either the train track or the coaster track. So actually, I don't think this is possible unless it's maybe very close to the ground and even smaller. Further to the left. This could fit, but is it nice? I'm not really sure. I will say I do really like the greenery. Bloody hell. I do really like the greenery over there. Like, that is a good choice, I think. It was just too much building, too much brick, and this really kind of changes that up. Here you go. Another one over there. This can work, I think. And maybe also at the front to kind of fix that as well. Then we just round this off a little bit, and then we just put some additional barrels that are slightly submerged into the ground. There you go. To kind of enhance these over on the side. Very, very nice. I really like this. It is actually much needed. And this, in fact, lends itself absolutely perfectly for a few benches. You could have seen this coming. And maybe two of them here as well. That seems about right. Yep, and of course some trash cans, which fit absolutely perfectly because they are, again, some barrels. You don't even see them. It's perfect. Sometimes I have to just look at the pirate theme in general and see if there's any things I can use. For example, these hooks or iron rings, I guess, just for some extra decoration. Let's have a look what else we have, because then I think we can pretty much finish this whole little alley. I'm just missing a bit of detail on the walls here. I'm not sure what to add that would actually make sense, because it shouldn't be too random. Oh wait, I haven't used this. Can we just put this against the wall? It's actually pretty sick. There you go. Just like that. Is that cool or is that a bit weird? No, that's all right. That's pretty dope. I almost completely forgot about lampposts, however. So I suggest we spread some of those around on this newly decorated area. And then I really think it's close to being done, at least this part. And then we just have this side of things, which is also pretty plain, needs some lights. So here I think I'm gonna go for the pirate one because it simply looks so nice. Now let's just do 4 so it adds enough light here. I've also noticed this weird little part. I'm not sure what even I did here. Bit of extra detail to make it less plain and boring. And then this is just such a boring looking wall. What am I supposed to do with that? Whoa, what the hell? Wait a minute. Why don't we put that on the front? Just as the entrance to Hill Valley. Almost fits perfectly. In fact, why don't I do this? Because we can now spin this around and try to fill up the... Oh, that is beautiful. Yes. Same thing then on the other side. Here you go. Dude, that is sick. How did I not know this piece existed? Really cool. Okay. Still doesn't fix the wall though. Okay, so I hate to repeat myself, but this looks quite nice actually over here. Of course, we can also grab these windows and just put them over here as well to fill that up. Nothing original, but at least I know it works. This is actually not even so bad. It's a bit plain, it's nothing crazy, but it works. It just looks decent. Besides, this is kind of the path to another area, so there's nothing really here anyway. Yeah, I like this. That means that I think this section is now also finished. At least it looks finished. Moving on then to the station building, which is completely empty, including some of these rooms. I mean, this is actually not terrible. It's just a bit empty. And then finally, the part back here, which also is going to be nature. We'll check that out in just a minute. But first, if you'd like to become a member of this channel, you get early access to videos, sometimes up to 2 weeks. You can do that by clicking the join button and go from there. Either way, your support is really, really appreciated, even if you're just a casual viewer. Even those who never comment but are always there to watch, I really appreciate you as well. But yes, then let's get to the next part, which is the interior for the station. Let's get to it. First, however, wait for it. Beer! Non-alcoholic, however. Inside of this, there is not much going on. And I kind of want to do something a bit different than we've done before today. Although, I wouldn't really know what. Hold on, let me just try something here. First, we're gonna pop in a wooden ceiling. I know, it's a huge surprise. I've never done this before. Then I'm copying this part from right over here and putting it somewhere like that, which fits surprisingly well. And then just filling up some of these extra open edges for some more detail. So then that wall looks pretty nice. These walls I want to be wooden as well. Let's see if this even fits. It does not fit. Gonna have to do some manual work over here. I'm going to add a ramp right underneath this part of the track, just so it's not floating out in the open. Would be a bit weird. Also super important is some big wooden supports at the very top. In other words, something to keep the whole structure up and in place. I already want some lights as well, because I've noticed that is a very big game changer. Then next, we'll use, once again, some spots. Actually, maybe we should put those on the sides here, shining onto the ceiling. Yes, those are again gonna be blue, or oh, purple is nice. Dude, that looks incredible. And then maybe here, we can put one of these giant decorative pieces. Dude, yes. This is nice. I'm also putting some on the ceiling, which of course will not be purple. That has to be some really warm, nice tint, because it needs to illuminate the station. Let's do a second one right next to it, actually. There you go. So it's nice and visible what is going on. And then on the walls, I think we can get away with just a few decorative stuff. Parts. I wouldn't really know what else to put in here anyway. And there is plenty of room, that is for sure. Maybe at the very top we can put some rope, but other than that, I don't really know what else to do here. Well, I think this is fine for at least now. Honestly, I simply don't know what to do otherwise. For once, I have no real ideas anymore for this part, so I think I'll just stick with this. You go out on this side. This is just a regular path. And then you go inside the shop, which I think... Did I do this off screen as well? I made this look a bit nicer, added some nets around the front bits, along with a few signs that say souvenirs and that sort of thing. And everything else is still the same, I think. This is clean, boring, but good in a way. There's also a lower hanging platform with a bunch of spotlights in it. Yeah, I think that is pretty... Wait, no. There is still this, which is also quite empty, but this is all so basic and boring, I won't bother you with that. I'll do that off screen. But now, first, there is one other big thing. Although this actually may be fine. Besides maybe some junk down here. I actually don't think we need much in here. This will do, I think. Maybe one of these bad boys over here, an empty one on top, and then I am pretty sure that's decent enough. Besides, this hole is cool enough on its own. I don't want to overdo it, so I think that's good. Yeah. Now that leaves us with the nature parts back here, and that, for once, I'm going to do in a time-lapse. Some of you really like that. I hate it, but I guess I can do it for once because it's the exact same boring stuff all over again. So, well, let's get to it and get that done. As you can see, I began with the landscaping. This means mostly creating a puddle for some water, along with a bunch of rocks on the side. I really try to create like a perimeter here to kind of seal this area off from the rest of the park, whatever's gonna lie behind this section. A ton of sand, a ton of rock textures, really just to make the whole thing look as nice as I can without putting too much effort into it, basically. Submerging some of these rocks halfway into the sand also works really well, I found. And of course, adding some rock texture on the ground surrounding the rock, I find makes it look a bit more realistic, really integrates these into the sand. You'll see me do that later. I also added some plants, some very subtle greenery to make it a bit more, make it come alive, if you will. And here you can see me adding that rock texture. Looks really nice in my opinion. Then trees. I was afraid the trees were going to be a bit too big again in this section as well, but I still tried to put some of them in for that really, you know, tropical vibe that we desperately need for a player's area like this. I'm pretty happy with how this turned out so far. I also added some scenery, like some shipwreck pieces to really make that come alive even more. Some planks, just some clutter to kind of spread around. Again, some more texturing on the ground around the rocks, the buildings. This just looks so good. I don't know why, but this really makes it look 20 times better. I added some more palm trees towards the end to make sure it's kind of, you know, shielded from the backdrop. Although in the end, I ended up putting a fence in place, which is very, very, very much temporary. I do not really like the way this looks, but I felt like I needed something here until I do know what's going to be behind this area. It's not ideal, but I guess for now it will have to do. So yes, I think that pretty much wraps up this little area I did. It's nothing crazy, nothing new, but it works decent enough. It's rather clean and open, but I kind of like that. I don't want to have the whole thing be super cluttered and chaotic and just stuffed with a bunch of stuff. This felt like a nice change of pace, especially since everything else, like I just said, is kind of a mess. In a good way, but it's definitely a bit of a mess. So the final few rocks in place, and then that should be pretty much it. So there you have it. Again, I don't love the way the fence looks, but for now it's fine, I guess. It's really going to depend on whatever lies beyond. So now what I'd like to do first, actually, is build this bridge. The reason for that is it's really the end of this area and we can actually wrap it up then. I don't want to do half work, so let's just get this in place quickly. Now I would like to try and use these pieces for that bridge because look, that could have a really cool look. What if we did this? Oh my god. Okay, so first we need one segment. Let's do one thing at a time. We need a pillar, maybe till about there. And then on these pillars, I want to add some detail. For example, well, that. And we can even try and adding like a lantern on every single pole with a cool little... Oh my god, that looks really nice. However, there's more. Look, maybe this is a bit cooler actually. I really like that. Damn. What I can also tell already is the path definitely does not need rails. Let's get rid of them. Just across the entire thing really. Because look, these pieces look very, very fancy as well. I do think this might look a bit better. In this case. Okay, so say we had this. I can then simply, in theory at least, copy it over and it perfectly connects. Wow. Okay, so that actually looks really nice. However, it's not finished yet because we also need some support at the very bottom, which to be fair, we could maybe try using these parts. No, that's weird. In general, I do think we need, for once, actually the path foundation, because that's a bit stronger, just for reference if anything. And then maybe using some of these fat blocks we can make some extra support at the very bottom. I did just find if I flip them around they look a lot better. Here you go. Make them a little bit higher so they align with that. That actually looks really good. Only thing I'll still do now is add some foundation at the foundation. And then I think we're finally ready to actually copy it over. So let's see. I'll just grab the entire thing. And wait, actually, let's first start where we're actually supposed to start. And then we'll just go and copy over the entire thing to the other side. This is perfect, actually. So is that. Well, actually, that's not really, but we'll see. Just copying the entire thing towards the other side. And then I think we should be pretty much good. Besides, of course, for this part, let's get rid of those. There you go. And maybe, I know it's not super nice, but let's move this a bit further back. So at least it's not wasting too much space. Wow, this looks... Oh my... That is really, really nice. Bloody hell. That is actually sick. Okay, then we need just one more at the end here, and then we simply have to open this up so people can cross. This one is slightly trickier, but I think we can quite simply just grab these, move them over to the side, and go from there. So this one can go. See that? Oh, that's perfect. And actually, before closing that up completely, let's wait to see what happens in the back there in the future, because that actually could be a really nice way to just move people into the area. Either way, the point of this was, of course, to fully finish the pirate area. So let's kind of connect this to the path here, just like that. And that just gave me an idea. What if we make the area behind this higher up? It's just like the whole area is going to be higher up. Would that not actually be sick? Wait a minute, see. Look what happens if we just make the whole backside of this higher. Just making it the same. Even the train would fit better, I think, because that has to go down pretty far otherwise. I really think this could be cool. In general, elevation is a really cool trick, I think, in theme parks to just make it look a lot more 3D from both below and above. Look. That's great. Yes. I think that could make for a very satisfying thing. We just have to adjust a few things here. One of them being the sand. Just has to kind of connect to the path here as well, making that a little bit flatter. And then the same goes for back here. This has to be smoothed out a little bit. And then there is the train, which needs adjusting to this new height. So let's select this entire bit and delete it. Here you go. And then let's make the exact same thing again, except at the correct height. Right until just about here. And then we slowly make our way back to wherever we came from. To be fair, this does not have to connect very nicely because I have no idea if this is even going to be used at all. So honestly, this should be just fine. Then let's go and open that back up. And now, as you can see, that just beautifully fits onto that landscape. Okay, so let's have a look then. What do we still need to do? We have all this. This is basically where it ends then. So I suggest over here we just add some more rocks, and then we can call that a day. Paint some rock texture around it for some realism. And yeah, that's then basically where the area ends. Everything behind it is going to be something else. So I guess, I mean, this is kind of empty, but it's not bad. Maybe just some very subtle decoration like one of these, whatever that's supposed to be. And then I think we should be good here on this side, at least. A few benches though, that definitely wouldn't hurt. Okay, so that's this side. Then what, I mean, we still need to do this, of course, but besides that, I'm pretty sure that's everything, isn't it? That is it. And if it's not, I'll just skip to it right now. I actually just realized there's one more thing, two more things. One of them is supports. Some of the supports are fine, but others are non-existent. That, and I also want to add some more signs. Of course, this kind of thing we definitely need more of, but also maybe just some smaller signs pointing you towards things like toilets and that sort of stuff, because we don't really do that often in this park, and we should, because it, you know, is very important. However, that will be reserved for the reveal video of this area, or the whole park, maybe. I think this area will have separate ones showcasing different sections. However, that will not happen until the surrounding area looks a little bit nicer. For example, the POV, you will see this. It's just not very nice. I want to have the final POVs look nice, so I don't know when it's gonna happen, but it is gonna happen at some point. So well, for today, then I think that is pretty much it. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, hit the bell not to miss a single future video, and then I hope I'll see you in the next one.